Welcome to the Philadelphia Sports Table Podcast Show, the longest-running weekly Philly sports podcast show in the world. 12 years strong. We got a great show for you this week. I'm Jeff Warren. I'm here with my co-host, my buddy, Eric Leonard. How are you, my man?
I'm good. Basketball practice tonight, your typical Wednesday.
Yes.
But not a typical week. In between AI and Doc, there's Sylvia Pepper.
That there you go. If you're watching on YouTube, Eric's daughter, who is probably going to be one of the best dancers in the world when it's all said and done. She's been doing it ever since she was a little girl, and she's going off to college soon, graduating from high school, going to college for dance as well. Folks, you're going to see her on Broadway, probably music videos, and this is the congratulations to her right now, right here on the PST podcast show.
Yeah, attending University of Buffalo in the fall, dance scholarship and academic scholarship. I don't know whose kid she is. I never had even close to any of that, but graduates Friday night, and she just turned 18. And dude, it's such a cliche. Like, it goes so fast. It really does. It goes so fucking fast. I was telling Sarah the other night, like, I remember holding her 2007 when she was looking out at the river. She was born in Harrisburg, looking out at the Susquehanna River and just being like, it's a beautiful day. And like, that does not seem that long ago. Like, it's really crazy. Yeah.
And I think we've mentioned it before. I mean, she was a baby at my wedding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
18 years ago. And my gosh,
it was one of those weddings where no one else had a kid except for us there.
Yeah.
It was just like, everyone's having fun, and we're going back to the room and pump and dump and breastfeed. Yep. Like, I had a full cart of just baby crap to take through 4 months, I think, your wedding, or 3. She was really tiny.
Yeah, it was like
you got married in June or July.
Yeah. Oh, July. So
old.
We're old. We really are. Jesus God.
Yeah. Now she's graduating high school.
I know. So. Now she's graduating. But it is I remember my twins' first birthday party. Mm-hmm. It wasn't necessarily a celebration of them. It's a celebration of the parents. This graduation from high school should also be a celebration for you and Sarah as well. At the end of the day, like, it's a celebration for the parents too. We actually did it. We made it. She's going to be going off to college. We actually were able to raise a human being, and that human being is going to go off and do some great things. So hats off to you and Sarah.
And doing better than what we did.
Yes.
Right? Isn't that the whole goal?
Much better. Yes.
Yeah, she's such a better person than I am. It's not even close. So.
Oh, I ain't just whistling Dixie.
All right, I'm going to notch that one down. That's one.
There you go. There you go. That's number one.
Cliches of Jeff. 1. All right.
Well, we got a great show. Got some really interesting topics and very topical topics to get into. Eagles, their offseason moves. We're going to get into a discussion, of course, on the Bryce Huff trade. Bryce Huff heading to the San Francisco 49ers after Howie Roseman wheeling and dealing as he usually does. And we're also going to talk about, in terms of the Eagles offseason here, this underlying storyline about how the Eagles now have 13 draft picks next year. And their weakest unit heading into this regular season is probably the safety position after losing C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Is Howie actually going to make another move? Possibly, whether it's in training camp or right before the regular season starts, utilizing these assets in order to bring in some high caliber or veteran talent, perhaps at the safety position. From there, Eric and I are going to dive into some NBA talk. We're going to get into the Knicks' baffling decision, in my opinion, to fire Tom Thibodeau. My goodness, can't believe he's not there anymore after what he did for that organization and team after these few years here. We're also going to get into a discussion about the NBA Finals and give some predictions there. And then before we get to what we're throwing down on the table this week, which is going to be a ton of Phillies talk, Eric and I are going to dive into a story that we saw in The Athletic this past week where an unruly sports fan, actually a horrendous human being, was actually making threats against Astros pitcher Lance McCullers Jr.'s family after an outing last month. And we're just going to talk about some unruly fan behavior and just how crappy fans are and can be from time to time. So that's our agenda. That's what we're getting into. And like I said, we are going to be throwing down on the table some Phillies talk. We've got first-time guest, Michael Fisher from thatballsoutahere.com. He's going to join us to dive into some Phillies storylines. But Eric, buddy, let's start off with some Eagles talk here, specifically Howie Roseman trading Bryce Huff to the San Francisco 49ers for some future draft capital. I always say with Howie, it's like, I can't believe he did it. I should start believing it at this point. I just didn't think that somebody was going to take Bryce Huff after the season he had last year. And yes, he is being reunited with Robert Saleh, where he saw success when both of those gentlemen were in New York playing for the Jets. But the fact that Howie was really able to offload him as a talent on the team, if you want to call him that, he was inactive for the Super Bowl and just did nothing down the stretch for the team. But the fact of the matter is, this is going to result in the Eagles taking on $4.9 million in dead money this year. They're going to defer $16.6 million to next season. And there's a lot of chatter about the Eagles now creating over $15 million in space this year. The reality is Huff's original cap number was just $7.4 million. So really the team is only about $2.4 million better off than originally expected. So they're going to be about $5 million worse off in 2026 than his original contract salary cap number. And I think they're going to get something like the Eagles will, about a $250,000 cap credit in 2026 for a guaranteed workout bonus. So after all that gibberish, folks, that I just said, end of the day, no Josh Huff. Yes, they're going to have to eat some money. It's not going to be as terrible as what this contract initially was. And they're going to end up getting a 2026 conditional 5th-round pick that could turn into a 4th-round pick with conditions tied to Bryce Huff's performance. So, again, I was surprised by it that it actually got done, Eric. I shouldn't be surprised at this point because Howie Roseman has gotten to a point where he's able to offload contracts, talent. He's able to get deals done. And, that's really the theme of what we're going to be talking about here in terms of our Eagles discussion. So were you surprised by this, or was this something where you were like, you know what, par for the course here with Howie?
I think we have to start just recognizing this is just par for the course for this organization as long as Howie's running it. Two thoughts. One, I think it's kind of fitting that you unknowingly name dropped another Eagles disappointment, Josh Huff.
Oh, did I say Josh Huff?
Yeah. But it made sense because Josh Huff wasn't very good, and we thought he was going to be.
Yeah.
And Bryce Huff was a higher level of what we thought was going to be really good for this team. They moved on from their sack leader of 2023 to get Huff.
Yeah.
And Huff literally did nothing besides take our money. I mean, if you add it up, it was a $17 million guaranteed payday for him with the Eagles. Some dead cap money, some savings there, but I can just speak to his performance on the field. There's not much to say. He started 6 games. I looked up his stats for the year. Pretty brief examination. There wasn't much.
No, not at all. And just how many games, how many snaps was he just on his ass or on the ground? And you're like, what is happening here with this guy?
Yeah, he only played in 12 total games, started 6, had 2 sacks, and I think 11 tackles total for a guy that, was supposed to come in and kind of shore up the edge position for the Eagles. Didn't need him, thank God. Still won a Super Bowl. My other thought is, how when players retire or leave a city after a long time, I'm just thinking when Reese Hoskins left the Phillies for the Brewers, I think he took out a full page ad or something in the city saying, "Hey, thank you so much."
Yep.
I'm just going to call this asshole should have done the same thing for us and said, "Hey, Philly, thank you so much for a ring. I didn't deserve it. I didn't do shit, but thank you anyway," because he was kind of a douchebag this past season.
Yeah.
He was the one guy I kind of lost my shit on because not only did he suck, didn't perform at all for the money we paid him. He was also moaning and groaning on Instagram over it.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you upset about?
Yeah.
You suck. We gave you money and you're not good. And you're upset with us, the fans.
Every other player on the ground
in the franchise. Like, what? Go fuck yourself. Like,
Yes.
he's one of my least favorite Eagles of all time. Thank God he's gone. But like, it's hard to even think of a comparison of disappointing stars that were also kind of jerks at the same time. Like, I remember when the Phillies signed Lance Parrish back in the day in the early 90s, and everyone was like, oh, here we go. I think he got hurt like almost immediately. Or there was another guy too. I think I can't think of it now, but he's one of those like all-time top 10, like came in, got paid a ton of money, was a jerk, left, got a ring. And he's in a class of his own because no one has rings on that list except for him. So
right, exactly. It really is amazing, though. At the end of the day, how he was really able to get this deal done. But it leads into the next part of the discussion about what else Howie is going to do for this Eagles team during this offseason. OTAs have started. And again, as I mentioned at the top, that underlying storyline now with the Eagles having their 13 draft picks, the weakest link on the defense, the quote weakest link on the team is probably at the safety position. And you have to wonder if Howie's going to make a deal and trade to bring in some solid veteran safety presence, perhaps using some of those draft picks this year, Eric. And I think it is very possible that we will see that. I think that it's possible, may not be the safety position, but I think he's going to, the Eagles are not picking 13 players next year. He is going to constantly look at how to make this team better. How and what ways, whether it's weak link, whether it's depth as well at certain positions, how am I going to make this team better? Of course, there are rumors about Kyle Pitts and him possibly getting traded from the Falcons to the Eagles. We've seen those rumors. Who knows if they're true or not? Something like that, it wouldn't surprise me. Like we're saying, nothing surprises us anymore with Howie. If he's going to get the upper hand in some way, he's going to do it. I think we're going to see something like this. Honestly, I think we are going to see a veteran safety coming in probably during training camp. It's like kind of how they acquired CJ Gardner-Johnson the first time around. And when he just kind of came out of the clear blue, we had no idea it was going to happen. How we used some assets to get him and bring him to the Eagles. And it ended up working out the second time for sure. I can see Howie doing this again, probably around training camp, using some of these draft picks in a package to bring some veteran presence to this team at the safety position. I don't know. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, and going back to what I said earlier about Howie, like everything's on the table with him. It's kind of par for the course. I'm hoping to shore up that position. We have kind of I'm hoping he tries to go the route of an acquisition. There are some players out there that have not been signed yet. I was looking through the list: Marcus Williams, Justin Simmons, I think the guy's name is.
Yeah,
some older, late 20s, early 30s safeties that were good for a small period of time, but kind of busted out of the league.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact they're not signed right now is not a great sign, but they've also signed some players off the quote scrap heap, and look what happened with some of them, right?
Yeah.
So those, I think guys like that are a possibility, but I'm hoping they go the acquisition route. I got to say, CJ Gardner-Johnson, he's the opposite of Huff for me. Like, has 2 runs with the Eagles. Both were really damn good.
1 year each, by the way.
1 year each. And we got rid of them both.
Yes.
Both of them got us a ring. He was a key contributor throughout the season, not so much in the Super Bowl, but I know it was a cap casualty kind of situation, but I'm hoping they can find not just a scrap heap kind of player and where you're rolling the dice, maybe someone more of like the caliber of a CG guard. Maybe Gardner-Johnson comes back again by the beginning of the season. Who the hell knows? Like,
yes.
But I think football money's so weird. Like, I know they're probably like, well, this is how much cap space they have. It's like, no, they don't. They have more. They don't have. They're not like the Cowboys where it's etched in stone. Like, this is how much these 4 guys make.
Yeah,
and we're right up against it. The cap goes up every year. The Eagles somehow always have like oh, we have $12 million now. Like,
yeah.
Oh, okay. Magic.
Well, I mean, that's what Len and I talked about last week, and I talked about it with BLG, too, from bleedinggreen.nation.com, just about how the NFL is actually going to be investigating the salary cap system itself, and it's because of the Philadelphia Eagles, mainly, that Goodell is going to be looking into, okay, certain teams are manipulating, just putting their guaranteed money right out of the gate, restructuring contracts because of guaranteed money, and back end, the backload some of the contract and just keep doing that over and over. So is the cap system, the spirit, is it working? Like, that's what they're going to be looking at, and the Eagles do it better than anybody else out there.
I think it's hilarious that the NFL is going to investigate something they created.
Yes, I know.
with them and the owners and the players union. Like,
yes,
they created this, but we're going to do an internal investigation. You don't have to. You did it. You made it. So
yes.
What the hell's the investigation for? You already created it. It makes no sense. God, that's funny. I mean, the NFL just prints money, so it doesn't really matter what they do. It doesn't. But it's just the level of it feels of incompetency, but yet they just print. They're sitting on a mint at all times. But
Eric, we're in our late 40s, and something I've realized in life, and it's taken me a while, that as rich as folks are, and because of that because of that wealth, it doesn't matter who you can be the most incompetent individual or group of people, and you can still have the authority, the power, the wherewithal to be able to do just about anything you want. If you have so much money, and you can still run things so incompetently.
And I will add, you can also be a fucking idiot.
Ooh, yes.
And come out on top financially.
Yes.
A complete dunderheaded moron. And you could be rich as hell, and it doesn't matter how stupid you are. It's just there's certain situations you're born into, and you just kind of keep rolling. You step in shit, you start smelling like roses. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I'm not referencing anything, specifically, but
right.
Yeah.
I mean, we've heard the phrase before. People are born on third base. Maybe they think they're born on first, but no.
Look, okay, here's a great example. I don't know the guy. I don't know if he's intelligent. I don't know if he went to Harvard, but Al Davis's kid, who owns the Raiders, he looks like Humpty Dumpty. His haircut is really bizarre. He's a billionaire.
It's horrendous.
He looks like, if you looked up idiot in the dictionary online, his face would come up in his dumb hairdo. I think he's stupid. I think because his name is Al Davis Jr. or whatever, I think that's why he's rich.
Yeah.
He's a good example, I think, of what we're discussing here.
All right, very good. All right. Well, I think we're going to need to take a break here.
It turned into making fun of the looks of the Raiders owner.
Exactly. And his dumb haircut.
It drives me crazy.
It's the worst.
He could pay $10,000 for the greatest barber in the world to come to his office and do it. He doesn't have to leave. And that's what he came up with. Like, you could be stupid, you could be white trash, and you still have tons of money. It doesn't matter. So
we can stop going on about this. I can keep going and going and going.
Yep.
But yes, we are going to have to take a break, folks. But before we do, if you're watching us on YouTube, here are our social media sites. If you're listening to us and you're new to the show, follow Eric and I over on Blue Sky. You can follow me at just search up Jeff Warren, Eric at Brick Pollitt also for Eric over on the Twitter/X. And just search out the Philadelphia Sports Table on various social media platforms. And you can search our names out on various platforms as well. Len said last week, Eric, he is absolutely loving not being on social media, especially Twitter anymore. He's like, it's been really good for my mental health.
Nah, Twitter's the best, dude. I'm never leaving.
Never.
I jump over to Blue Sky every now and again. It's super positive. It's like, hey, I made toast this morning. Like that kind of shit. And Twitter,
on it.
Yeah, and Twitter is like, I'm gonna cut your mom's throat. Like good Lord.
Eric's like, I'm here for it. Yeah.
I just woke up, man. Like, you gotta relax.
All right. Well, let's take that break. When we come back from break, we're going to get into some NBA talk about the Knicks firing their head coach, and also talk about this NBA Finals. I think it's going to be an interesting NBA Finals. We're going to give our predictions. Then we've got some Phillies talk coming your way. So stick with us. We'll be back in just a bit. All right. We are back here. Eric Leonard and myself, Jeff Warren. Make sure, again, that you are following us on various social media platforms. And also, if you want to write us an email, send us an email, PhiladelphiaSportsTable@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Read your email here on the show. Haven't gotten as many because as we've been doing video, I haven't necessarily been promoting it. But again, PhiladelphiaSportsTable@gmail.com. Love to read your email here on the show and respond to it. Let's dive into some NBA talk here. The Knicks, my gosh, Eric, the Knicks decided, and it was just so baffling when I saw the breaking news come to my phone via notification. They fired Tom Thibodeau. And I was like, is this real? Okay, he just took the New York Knicks to their first Eastern Conference final appearance in 25 years. He led the Knicks to the playoffs in 4 of his 5 seasons at the helm as head coach, and won 50-plus games in consecutive seasons for the first time since the 1990s. And they were like, you know what? Sorry, not good enough. You didn't get to the finals. See you later, Tom. I was genuinely like had feels of being upset for Knicks fans, even though we are not Knicks fans at all. You know, our buddy Dave certainly is, but my gosh, I was utterly shocked by this. We're not shocked by Howie Roseman anymore. Utterly shocked by this, that James Dolan could make a decision like this. I don't know. Were you shocked?
No, it's not because of the performance or anything. If you're aware of the Knicks front office dynamics, it's not crazy that it happened, because like the writing was on the wall very soon after the game 6 loss.
Yeah.
Multiple reports came out about the Knicks demise, and the 2 biggest things that were mentioned in every article were Towns, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Thibodeau, the coach. And like I said, if you know anything about the dynamics of the front office, Worldwide Wes is the head of basketball operations for the Knicks. He is part of the Villanova crew. He's been around for a long time. He is Jalen Brunson and all the Villanova guys on that team. He's part of that crew. Jalen Brunson's dad is an assistant coach under Tom Thibodeau. I doubt that was Tom Thibodeau's decision. I don't think I'm sure Jalen Brunson's a good man, or senior is a good man, or Brunson's dad's a nice man and he knows basketball, but kind of bizarre that he all of a sudden got an assistant coaching job, in the NBA.
Yeah.
Just there were like 2 outsiders in this entire breakdown of the Knicks franchise. They were expected to go to the finals. I think they go to the finals. Tom Thibodeau and Towns were just fine. The way they blew the first 2 games and then lost in game 6 and just got blown out, somebody was going to have to pay the price. And it certainly wasn't going to be anyone from the Villanova gang. Wasn't going to be Worldwide Wes. None of the players. You had 2 outsiders, Thibodeau and Towns. You can't fire Towns because he has a contract. Tom Thibodeau gets the axe. I think it's as simple as that.
Towns and the accountability I think that he needs to go through and show at least Knicks fans with his play in the playoffs. And what I mean by that is, if you go back and you watch some of those games, the irresponsible fouls constantly, and that's a storyline coming. Yeah. I mean, he's 30 feet away from the ball and he's being called for a foul. And of course it's not Tom Thibodeau. I completely get what you're saying. It's not Tom Thibodeau's fault though, that you have a player that you brought in this past year playing that irresponsibly. There needs to be some sort of repercussion for that. There needs to be accountability at some level for Karl-Anthony Towns because of that. You can't have that going into this next season if they want to try to get back to the Eastern Conference Finals, which is going to be tough to do in this Eastern Conference.
Yeah, unless Giannis is traded to the Western Conference, things might get a little easier for you.
Yeah, true.
Tatum's done for next year too. The
Yeah.
Sixers are a shithole, so that's out of the question.
We'll see.
Yeah, you keep seeing. I think I know where I'm at. Ask yourself this question though: like, what if Jay Wright was the head coach, and this went down, and they didn't lose in quite a powerful fashion?
Yeah.
I doubt Jay Wright gets fired because he's part of the whole
Villanova crew. Yeah.
The Knicks just have some issues. So they just fired their coach. Who the hell knows who the next coach is? You have Karl Anthony Towns, who you just said, if I had a player foul a guy 30 feet from the ball, my team's up, and I'm coaching 12-year-old boys.
Yeah.
Get your ass on the bench. I will talk to you later.
Yeah.
You will go into the second half. I have to calm down because I want to scream at you because that's stupid.
Yeah.
This is an NBA player making $50 million a year. Somebody, I'm sure there's YouTube clips out there of someone like compiled together of his dumb, irresponsible, shitty fouls off ball. I've never seen a player that dumb. Like maybe in the late 70s when like half the players took cocaine and were just doing crazy shit on the court,
right?
And after games. But this guy, like, I don't know what the hell goes on in his head. He's they're on the hook for like 4 more years of this dude.
Yes.
I don't know who's going to take his contract on. So you probably have him next year. You're the same team next year. And you're going to have to bring in another Villanova guy as the coach, because if I'm a potential head coach, I'm coming in like, am I going to get fired in 2 years?
Yeah.
If I don't turn this around because I'm not part of the crew.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's amazing how they made the Eastern Conference Finals. God bless them. I wanted them to win. I would love to have seen either Minnesota or OKC play them in the finals.
Yeah.
But they got to the finals 2 wins away from going there, and now it's a disaster. Like,
it's incredible.
It really feels like it did, because they're totally capped out. They have to re-sign Bridges somehow. He's going to cost like the second apron, like all that tax crap. I mean, the NBA money is just as crazy as the NFL money. Like, they're going to be on the hook for like James Dolan and his blues band are going to be on the hook for like 150 million just in tax money next year. Some crazy number.
Yeah.
Because of the how it works. But like, it's just funny, like how look at the Sixers this year. Had a great season before. We go into this season coming up. It's like, man, we got PG-13. This is it.
Yeah.
And woof, like down for the count, like so fast. And that's how quickly the NBA can switch, because now the Knicks look like they're in turmoil, even though they just almost went to the finals.
Yes. And by the way, the semifinals, you're thinking, wow, this team, I don't know if they can be stopped, when they were in the semifinals. And then, like you said, all of a sudden just turns on a dime.
Because they were going to beat the Celtics, even if Tatum didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
Like they had that game.
Yeah.
They came back in the first 2 games. And when they lost that first game, I was like, uh-oh, this ain't good.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So.
All right.
And fuck them. They're in the way of the Sixers. So there you
exactly.
go.
All right. Well, let's now get into some quick NBA Finals predictions here, as the Oklahoma City Thunder are taking on the Indiana Pacers. A matchup that the NBA front offices probably didn't want to happen, but hey, we're here right now at this point. I think for me, when this series starts, when this finals starts, I think the one matchup to really watch is Indiana's turnover avoidance that they have had for much of this season, regular season and postseason, against the Thunder's turnover creation. So I was reading on Yahoo Sports about this a little more, thought it was really interesting. So in both the regular season and playoffs, no team has forced turnovers on a higher share of opponents' possessions than the Thunder, who's, we know how intensely physical they play, and the ball pressure has produced one of the best defenses in recent memory. But in both the regular season and playoffs, the Pacers have owned the NBA's 3rd lowest turnover rate. It's a massive reason why that when they got healthy back in December, they've also owned one of the 5 or so best offenses in the league. You've got a strength here with the Pacers and a strength here with the Oklahoma City Thunder that is going to be clashing. And I think that is a major matchup for us to watch. And I think at the end of the day, for me, I think the Thunder are going to end up winning this in 6 games. That's my prediction here. And a lot of it is going to be based on turnovers. I really think it's going to be their turnover creation that the Thunder has. I don't know if Indiana, as well as they've done throughout this season, are going to really be able to match up too well against it. So I'm going Thunder in 6 games. What are your thoughts here in terms of what you're going to be watching for?
I mean, it's a great match. And number one, like whenever 2 small club, like 2 small town or, smaller franchises meet up in the finals, and you see people online like, oh, I'm sure the league's not happy about that. Like, they don't care. Come on, man. The league makes a shit ton of money. It's on TV. They have a new television deal coming. And as a fan, I can't stand those people. Because to me, that's like, you don't watch the games.
Yeah.
You're just a soul who like just wants to make fun of 2 smaller franchises. If you watch basketball, these 2 teams are really fun to watch, really highly talented, smart teams too. They have 2 phenomenal head coaches, and they have really smart players, and they're super duper talented. So screw those people. I don't like that at all. Well, it reminds me of like when the Bengals played they played the Rams in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah. And were people like Cincinnati, small town.
Yeah.
This Super Bowl's going to suck. No,
you're right.
Like
you're right.
They only do it with like baseball and others. It makes no sense, but whatever. And you're dead on right about the Pacers and the turnovers. I can't, but like, I think it was game 3 or game 4. It was game 3 when Halliburton for the Pacers had 32 points, I think 15 assists, 0 turnovers, and 8 rebounds.
Yes.
That's like Hall of Fame level numbers. Like
crazy. Yes.
To not have a single turnover, and the Knicks readjusted. And if what OKC is going to have to do is just play them. It's going to be a full court game for both teams. Like OKC's force pressure full court to make Halliburton uncomfortable, Neesmith uncomfortable. And then vice versa, like the Pacers did to the Knicks and made Jalen Brunson uncomfortable, is they're going to do the same thing to Shea. I think the cream of the crop, the top 3 of each team, OKC has the better 3, obviously.
Yeah.
I think Chet Holmgren's he's going to be the key to the whole series, because he's basically have Halliburton, Pascal Siakam, and then who's your third? Like,
right.
Is it Miles Turner? Is it Neesmith? OKC has a lockdown top 3 with Shea, Williams, and Chet. And I think Chet's going to have like kind of a coming out party kind of thing where he's blocking shots. They don't have a lot of rim protection. They have some smaller guys for the Pacers, but don't think the Pacers are going to like just back down and lose, like get swept. Like that's not going to happen.
No.
But here's the difference. Like OKC's defense, I'm kind of likened to like the 2000 Ravens, or like just some of those incredible defenses, like the 2003 Bucks defense, where I've never seen a team this athletic, this big on the wing, and have rim protection down low with Hartenstein and Holmgren. Like they're just a perfectly built franchise. And they have Kason Wallace, who comes off the bench for 15 minutes and hit threes, and he's built like a shithead, or whatever the term is. He is ripped. Lou Dort is ripped, and they're awesome defensively. I've not seen a team this good. It's probably like the Pistons 2014. It's probably the last great defensive team that I've seen. This is in there, and they were not even nearly as athletic as OKC. So I'm honestly thinking OKC in 5 games.
Okay.
The gambling numbers kind of favorable, like you said. OKC in 6. That's plus 410 on FanDuel.
Mm-hmm.
Plus 225. OKC in 5 games. If you want to get risky, Pacers in 7 is like plus 2,500. Like,
ooh,
yeah. But I think overall, I think the Pacers have a good showing, but just not enough horsepower to beat OKC, who, again, thank God they didn't get our pick, dude. Could you imagine this team sweeps the Pacers, wins the title, and goes, "Hey, we got your 7th pick of the draft, Sixers." Like, oh
exactly.
You already have a treasure trove of picks and cap space, and
yeah.
like it just
Thank God. Thank God. Well, look, real quick stat on Halliburton, real quick. There are, or over the last 3 seasons, only 3 players who have played at least 5,000 total minutes have assisted on more than 40% of their team's baskets while turning it over fewer than 15% of their team's offensive possessions. You've got Jokic, Luka, and Halliburton, who has the lowest turnover rate at 11.7% of the bunch. Man.
Okay. We're going to do this right here.
Incredible. Yeah.
Jokic.
I say it wrong all the time.
I know.
That's my bit. That's
and I correct you every time.
For the show.
Cliche to Jokic.
For the show. For the show.
It looks like Jokic. I agree with you. But no, can I just remind you real quick? This came up a whole bunch during the Eastern Conference Finals, and Halliburton was just torching the Knicks.
Yeah.
The Kings at the time who had him came to the Sixers and said, "How would you like to get Halliburton for Ben Simmons?"
Oh,
yeah. It was Halliburton.
Jesus.
It was Halliburton, 2 other players, and 2 first-round draft picks for Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, and Matisse Thybulle.
I'm crying.
And the Sixers turned that down.
Yes, they did.
I just want to remind you of that.
They did.
The man just took his team, Indiana team that is really, really talented, but not great.
Yeah.
Dragged him to the finals, and we could have had him.
We could have. All right, folks.
All right, I'm going to go.
Let us. Yeah, exactly. We're done. Not even the last story. Forget it. Oh, my gosh. Well, speaking of this final topic that we're going to get into before we get to our interview and discussion about the Phillies this week, we really wanted to dive into something that, every now and again we talk about on this show. And basically what it is awful fan stories. And in The Athletic this past week, they specifically talked about, and I have it on the screen for our YouTube viewers, but I'm going to be reading this excerpt as to what happened by an awful fan. And we're going to just talk about this real quick and dissect it. So Houston police this past week, they identified an overseas man as the culprit behind death threats against Astros pitcher Lance McCullers Jr. and his family after a bad outing that he had last month. The man told authorities that he was frustrated and inebriated when he posted the threats on social media. Quote, "I understand people are very passionate and people love the Astros and love sports," McCullers said after the game, "but threatening to find my kids and murder them is a little bit tough to deal with. No charges have been filed yet." So we just wanted to bring this up here and just talk about it. Eric, I'm not sure if you remember back in January, some piece of human garbage Eagles fan was actually banned from the link, banned from all home games because he went on a tirade and just said some absolutely horrific things to a Green Bay Packers fan and a female fan in a video that went viral. I mean, this is nothing new that happens, but we get these pieces of human garbage that do this stuff every now and again. It makes certain fan bases look terrible, especially in Philadelphia. And these are the type of people, like this guy right here, this quote fan, he should actually be banned from going to any games, any sporting events in the future. I don't know how that would happen necessarily, the coordination between all the leagues and associations, but folks like this, you shouldn't have the opportunity in our society to enjoy a professional football, hockey, basketball, baseball, soccer game ever again. When you do stuff like this, it really just, it's pretty incredible to me that people just can't get it together sometimes,
That's putting it lightly.
It is putting it lightly. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, threatening to, I'm sorry for laughing when you read McCullers' quote.
Yes.
I only laugh because it's just so absurd. He's just like, yeah, we all bad outings, but to threaten to kill my kids, that's going a little far. Jeez. Yeah, I'd say so, man.
Yes.
Yeah, this piece of shit should never be able to go to another game ever. Shouldn't be allowed to watch sports. I mean,
yes.
I know that's not possible, but
yeah, I know.
that is really weird.
Yeah.
I've been that angry at I've been very angry at players and some kind of performance in my day, but I've never thought once to go to Twitter and be like, I'm going to at this dude and tell him I'm going to kill you. Like,
I'm gonna kill your kids.
oh, and your kids too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can't become athletes and ruin my life too. Like,
Right.
yeah, I'm going to take care of all family business now. What a piece of shit. And it's one thing, you know, you talk about the Eagles fans that particularly Eagles fan at the Packers game. Like, it's one thing fan on fan behavior.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to multiple Phillies, Sixers, all four teams, Flyers and Eagles. I've seen some horrific shit, fan to fan. You know.
Yeah.
One of my favorites, I'll call it a favorite because it just made me giggle because it was so absurd, was 2004 Monday Night Football game, Vikings Eagles. I saw a bunch of Eagles fans encircle a Vikings fan and try to light his jersey on fire while he was with a lighter. Yeah. And I remember just going, yeah, I think that's gone too far.
Christ, that's terrible.
I don't like that I don't like that fan's here and he's walking around his jersey, but you know, lighting him on fire is probably a bit much.
Jesus.
Anyway, but to threaten like a player and his family, I know the term fan, fanatics, the whole thing, but like,
yeah,
these dudes just want to pitch and go home. They don't give a shit about you. Like,
I know exactly.
But this isn't new. Like,
yeah,
Monica Seles getting stabbed in like what 1991 or something.
Yeah,
on the court, like a dude ran in and stabbed her in the back. That's insanity. I was thinking of one when I saw the topic, and there was one in 2002. The first base coach, Tom Gamboa, I think his name was, for the Kansas City Royals.
Okay.
These two toothless meth whiskey tango losers ran onto the court. It was the dad and the son was 17, ran onto the field and pummeled him. And he actually lost hearing in his one ear and never coached again after that.
Oh my God, I don't know about that. I need
to look that one up.
Oh my gosh.
When you see the picture of the dude that hit him first,
yeah,
you're just like, yeah, I get it.
Okay.
Yep, I see it. No shirt on, skin tight jeans, maybe some teeth missing. Yep.
Would you call a meth? Would you say the?
I just can't. It came out fast. I don't remember.
Yeah, but the meth thing was good. All right.
I mean, if you see it, you obviously he's got some weird tattoos like that don't look right. Like his buddy did them. You know, like he didn't go to the parlor. Yeah. So.
Oh my God, I got so emotional about this. I forgot to put the freaking banner on here. We're done with the segment, and I just put it on. The heck.
No, that guy sucks. Like, just the Packers guy, the Eagles fan with the Packers guy sucks. It's just it makes all of us look like shit.
Should be banned for life going to any professional sporting event ever again. So again, folks, Philadelphia Sports Table at gmail.com. That's where you can check. That's where you can send us an email right here, right on our screen here on YouTube, Philadelphia Sports Table at gmail.com. We'd love to read your email here on the show and respond to it. If there's any stories you want us to get into, we'd love to hear from you. So that being said, buddy, I'm going to let you go. We're going to get into some Phillies talk in just a bit here. Any final words? Yeah.
Yeah. So 2 weeks ago when I was on the show, I dropped the image of my dad ironing his clothes in his white boxers behind me.
Oh yeah, somebody left a comment.
Somebody left a comment on YouTube. And I was praying that someone out there like experienced that same thing. And that guy who commented definitely did, because he was just like, "Oh, dude, I remember that." Like, it's so vivid. I remember just looking back and like, "Oh, dude, go upstairs."
God, Dad, why do you need to do it here?
Your gross middle-aged hairy chest.
Yeah.
Like, you're drinking coffee at 7 p.m, irons on, like, just go upstairs. Disgusting.
Love it.
I'm glad someone else like felt my pain in that.
Yes, absolutely. Feel free to comment on YouTube, like and subscribe to the podcast as well. And we will be back in just a bit here. Again, when we come back, we're going to be talking about this Philadelphia Phillies team and a bunch of storylines. We'll be back in just a bit. It's great to be back, and it's great to see for the very first time here on the Philadelphia Sports Table Podcast Show to get into this Philadelphia Phillies team and some ongoing storylines. We've got our good friend from thatballsoutahere.com. He's contributor and writer over at that site. You know, we love our Fansided sites. We love thatballsoutahere.com as well. Michael Fisher. Michael, buddy, how you doing, man?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on, Jeff.
It's great to have you on for the first time here at the PST Podcast Show. And look, I got to say, it's been such an interesting season for this Philadelphia Phillies team. And I think to start us off, start the discussion off right off the bat here, I really want to get into the fact that this is a team that went from 9 straight wins in a row to 4 straight losses in a row. And of course, a lot of folks within Phillies Nation are like, of course, this team, they don't have consistency and blah, blah, blah. We hear all the crap and nonsense and whatever on social media. But of course, as we know, this team did not have Bryce Harper basically over the past week or so. We're certainly going to get into Bryce Harper in a little bit here. But what did you see with this team that led to such a 180 with regard to their performance, going from such positive momentum to negative momentum? What were your thoughts here, Michael?
Just first off, overall, I don't think there's a lot to worry about. This is a good team.
Yes, it is.
That right off the bat, right?
Yes,
it's a good team.
Exactly.
Every team has their ups and downs. I think just the stark contrast of 9 wins and then 4 losses just kind of threw everyone for a bit of a loop there.
Yep.
And there's always the underlying. The bullpen is a concern, but it was weird because it was really the starting pitching that kind of stopped momentum. And weird, it was Zach Wheeler, which is the weirdest thing, right? Like I don't think he gave up a hit through the first 3 innings against the Braves there in that second game of the doubleheader, and then just like the wheels fell off.
Yep.
And I don't know, it feels like that just kind of just stopped everything in their tracks. And then obviously you have talking about Walker on Friday. He's like, I'm happy for him that he's redeemed himself this season. It's been a great story,
right?
But he the last few starts that he's had, the pitch count has gotten up quickly, and so that game felt like they were behind from the start. And
right.
I think maybe the best spot for him is the bullpen and see how he can do there in shorter outings. But and then I don't know if we need to talk about Saturday at all.
Feel free. Absolutely.
like that was spectacular. Not in a good way. Obviously, we all know what happened there. Luzardo just destroyed any possible Cy Young considerations in one outing. Oh my gosh, that was something else. I could only watch the first 4 innings of that game, and so I saw the worst of it. And that was rough. And that that's one of the games where it's a write off, right? So it's not like it was just weird because the starting pitching has been so good all season.
Yeah. And
then obviously the 4th game, I think that was the one that hurt the most, with Ranger throwing, another quality start, run, 6 innings. That's good enough. That should be good enough for a win. But, then you get the bullpen popping up. You get the questionable defense popping up at the worst possible time. As I said, I don't think there's a lot to worry about. And as we saw last night, first game in Toronto, right? They came out, they took advantage of a pitcher not adjusting and having some poor location, and they did what the Phillies do, especially in Toronto. Teams that like hitting in Toronto. I think that last night made everyone feel a little bit better.
Absolutely.
And they can be a streaky team. But
I think at the end of the day, I think at the end of the day, Michael, I mean, this is baseball. Yeah. These things happen. The streakiness of teams, sometimes some inconsistencies that pop up here and there. This is the game of baseball. And I think what's great is that this team finally has Bryce Harper back into the fold after taking that pitch to the elbow from Spencer Strider last week. I mean, he certainly had a really nice Tuesday night. You mentioned the game against the Blue Jays. It was a really nice comeback game where he hit a home run, really shows that he's back, ready to play ball. I did want to get your thoughts, though, on something and a storyline, a mind-boggling storyline. I don't even know how much of a huge storyline it is within Phillies Nation because I think it's pretty ridiculous, but I have seen here and there on the interwebs out there where people are saying that Bryce Harper may be on the downslide of his career here. I mean, I don't think that's accurate at all. I do not think that's the case. I'm wondering, what are your thoughts on that narrative? And the narrative comes from such a slow start to the season. We do know that he starts usually every season, quote, slowly. I mean, do you think these folks out there who are saying this are right? Should we be concerned? Are they incorrect? What are your thoughts on Bryce Harper, his return, and just where he's at right now?
Yeah, well, you can find anything if you look hard enough online, right? So
exactly. Yes.
It's not something that has even crossed my mind. Like
I know
he's only 32 years old.
Yep.
Sometimes, we forget that because it feels like he should be older because he's been around for so long.
Yeah.
And players of his caliber don't just fall off a cliff at 32. For the most part, like he's going to be playing for a long time. He's not the 2021 Bryce Harper. He likely never will be that player again. But he's doing everything right.
Yes.
He's like his you go to his StatCast page, everything's red. It's just, it feels like he's not getting as lucky so far when he is making that contact. Like his expected stats, he's just not getting there. And you can see it. Like you can see when he hits a ball well, it looks like it should be a home run, and it just doesn't quite make it. And that's whether that's a CBP factor. I actually saw a report that there's more drag on the ball this year. I think Eno Saris, The Athletic, actually, that came across my feed the other day, that there's a bit more drag on the ball this year. That's obviously not just a Harper problem, but
something to consider.
Yeah, for sure. And then there was also the report over the offseason about how the wind at the bank has taken away a lot of home runs. So not making excuses because he'll be fine. His bat speed isn't slowed down at all. So I think it's like a half a click faster than last year.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's anything to it. It feels like empty panic.
Absolutely. Bryce Harper's fine, folks.
Yeah, he'll be okay. I think he knows what he's doing. I'm not going to be the one to criticize Bryce Harper.
Absolutely.
Like he does have a bit more swing and miss this year so far, but like he's being pitched so tough. Like teams are just not giving him pitches to hit.
That's a great point.
He's seeing way fewer fastballs, way more breaking balls. Like it's not like shooting fish in a barrel as it has been for the last few years, and they finally stopped.
Yep.
Giving him pitches. So
absolutely.
I don't think it's a concern.
No, I don't think we should be concerned, folks. I want to put that storyline to rest. But I also wanted to talk about another gentleman on this team with you, Michael, who, I mean, I've just enjoyed watching him for the most part this season, and that's Nick Castellanos. I mean, he's playing some very good baseball this year. He's got a .281 batting average at this point. He's driven in 30 RBIs. What have you been seeing from Castellanos this season that's really helping him to propel this Phillies team in certain game situations that we have seen him come up big here and there? Like, what are your thoughts with Castellanos and really kind of how he's been tailoring his offensive game here?
It's I know what you mean. He seemed, we know what Nick Castellanos is. Like, he at this point in his career, right? Yeah. And obviously a big storyline over the offseason and coming in, not just for him, but for the whole lineup, was cutting down on the chasing.
Yep.
Not deciding you're going to swing before the pitch is even left the pitcher's hand. So I don't think he's chasing any less this year, but he's definitely striking out less. He's swinging. He's got a lower whiff rate. He's got a lower strikeout rate. So he's going to be putting more balls in play. It's weird. His numbers with runners in scoring position aren't as good as they have been the last couple of years. It feels like maybe he's had more timely hits. Right.
I think that's
yeah, like the eye test is like, oh man, like he just seems to, have those clutch hits, but he's actually, I think his runners in scoring position average is like 230 maybe.
Okay.
And I think it was, 260 last year, 280 or 90 the year before. It's kind of dropped every year a little bit while he's been with the Phillies. But I was looking up his late inning numbers, like from the 7th inning on, even the 6th inning on over the last month. Just he's hitting over 300. He's got a 880 something OPS, and once they get to the bullpens. So late in games, he's coming through with hits. But I think the only thing for him is just getting more of those hits when there are the runners on in scoring position.
Yep, absolutely. Well, it's nice to see just certain guys on this team. You want them to step up in certain certain situations, and when the team is in certain positions, and I think we are seeing that every now and again here with Nick Castellanos. Yeah. Again, like you said, like he is what he is. We know what type of player he is, but there have been some in-game situations where he's come up big for this team. And there's also another gentleman, as we're moving along here, that has come up big for this team as of late. And we need to talk about Alec Bohm and his incredible resurgence. Oh my gosh, Michael, since the beginning of May, since May 1st, he's batting .333. At this point, he's batting .277 on the year. Back May 1st, like I just mentioned, he was hitting .220. So what are your thoughts on Alec Bohm's season, and if he's able to kind of ride this type of success long-term here, maybe for the rest of the season? Again, we know another streaky player. We know Alec Bohm, who he has been over these years. What are your thoughts on him? Again, can he ride this success out like long-term here?
Yeah, I don't see why he wouldn't. I believe in Bohm.
Yep.
Yeah, he did it most of last year. He was their best hitter most of last season until that hand injury derailed it at the end, and he just was like, he came back from that, and he was not. I don't think he should have even been playing. He was so bad. Like there was something wrong, right? So I don't know, like, and we're as fans, we're so fickle, right? Like you see it all the time. The first impression can set our whole perception for a player's season. It's a 6-month season. A lot of players have a bad, slow first month. If he had that month in June, if he was hot for 2 months like last year, and then he has a bad, has that month in June, it's a talking point, and it's like, oh, what's wrong with Alec Bohm now? But he comes out of it and has a good second half. You forget that he had a bad month by the end. The numbers at the end of the season are good. I think he'll end up being a 280 hitter again. He's almost back there already with his hot month. And I don't think it's just, a streak. I think this is Bohm. He's never going to be a 30 home run guy. It's just not what his swing's cut out for.
Yeah.
But 15 home runs, lots of doubles like we saw last year. He can be a run producer.
And that's what I like, to be honest with you, Michael. Like, I like that aspect of his game for this team. So a theme I've talked about a number of times here at the PST podcast show is that not every single player on this Phillies team needs to have that launch angle, needs to be hitting home runs constantly all the time. That, when you get singles and you get doubles, it's part of the game of baseball. It's a good thing to see every now and again. And when you have talent on this team that's able to do it on a consistent basis, it makes for fun baseball to watch. And I'm glad Alec Bohm is here because of that.
Yeah. And for a guy that was, hitting the top of the order, hitting in the cleanup spot most of last year.
Yeah.
There's plenty of RBI opportunities when you're hitting up there. I don't think his RBIs have caught up to how he's hitting because he was hitting so far down in the order.
Yeah.
So that, I don't know if his RBI numbers will be where they could be at the end of the year. But even when he was slumping, he was doing everything right. He was hitting the ball hard. He's only striking out 16% this year. Like it was gonna turn for him, right? He was just getting super unlucky.
Right. Absolutely. And we know that this game, there's some luck in it for sure. Again, folks, we're talking to Michael Fisher from thatballsoutahere.com. He is on the Twitter/X at @byMichaelFisher. A great follow. And again, thatballsoutahere.com. And if you are interested in getting in touch with us here at the Philadelphia Sports Table Podcast Show, shoot us off an email. We'd love to hear from you. PhiladelphiaSportsTable@gmail.com. We'd love to read your email here on the show and respond to it. That being said, I want to dive into the starting pitching next with you, Michael, because, you mentioned it right at the top. Sometimes we get a little nervous with the starting pitching, especially when we saw those 4 losses in a row recently, because it's one of the strongest aspects of this team and one of the reasons why this team has been so successful this season. But I do want to ask you, from a starting pitching standpoint with this Phillies team and within this rotation here, what is your biggest concern here as, we're just starting the month of June?
Honestly, just health.
Yeah.
Just health,
okay.
Right? Like, I feel like they've been fairly lucky last season, just some minor stuff with Wheeler. He's obviously the most important guy out there. I think Nola's ankle injury, maybe it was a blessing in disguise. Get him away and get him some time off, and hopefully he comes back right.
Yeah, we got to see Mick Abel, right? And that first starting performance from him, which was fantastic.
Yeah, so I think it's just if they can stay healthy. That's what that's the only concern. And like they have the horses. They have some intriguing depth, like you mentioned, Mick Abel there. We'll see how he does against the Jays tonight, and I don't know if it'll be as good as his debut, because that was impressive.
That was special.
But they, if he can be a good 5th starter level, then the rest of the guys can carry the rotation.
Yeah, and let's not forget that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just to say, it's just the rotation isn't something that I worry about. There's a lot of other things that as a Phillies fan we worry about, and I don't think the rotation should be it.
I was also going to say, let's not forget that Andrew Painter is in the pipeline here as well. We cannot forget about that.
It's easy to forget sometimes, right?
Yes. Yeah, and all of us were saying prior to the season starting, even back in March, April, saying, well, Andrew Painter, he may be coming up in June or so. I mean, we are here in June. Who knows what'll happen with it? But, I do have to ask you, though, too. We love talking about under the radar storylines here at the PST Podcast Show with all of our Philly sports teams that we talk about on a weekly basis. So to close us out here, Michael, I personally think there are some under the radar storylines with this Phillies team, both from a positive and negative perspective at this current moment. Like, for instance, I personally think that Trey Turner, an interesting aspect of his game is that he's 12th out of 26 qualified shortstops in field runs above average at this point. He's at 2.6 here at the moment. I think that's a pretty under the radar type of storyline here as it pertains to Trey Turner. What's the biggest under the radar storyline for you, whether it's positive or negative, with this Phillies team as we're here in the start of June? What are your thoughts?
I thought of a couple. A positive, I'm a positive guy, so I'll start there.
There you
go. Brendan Marsh.
Yes.
Like there's nothing specific, about what he's doing, except for since he's come back from the injury, he's hitting 290. he plays solid center field defense, and it seems like, obviously the first couple weeks of the season, it was the biggest problem that we had was Brandon Marsh, right? And how bad he was. And then it feels just like after his initial, everyone's excited to have him back, and he's kind of just flying under the radar. It feels like now, like how good he has been actually.
Yes.
So, got to give him his props.
Absolutely.
For sure. And just the negative is the leadoff spot, Bryson Stott.
Yep.
May was horrible for him.
Yes. It was not a good May for him.
And so that's just kind of what I'm watching is how, and he came out last night, first inning walk, then first inning 2-run single. Like that's what he's got to do. He doesn't have to hit home runs. He's got to get on base. He's got to get hits when he needs to get hits. And then just one more quick one off the field. This isn't. This will get bigger as we get closer to the trade deadline. But which version of Dave Dombrowski will we see? Ooh. Will he pull the trigger on a big trade, like actually move some big prospects?
Yeah.
Because I know they've talked about building a dynasty and thinking long term with their top guys, and there's guys that are untouchable. But with the state of the bullpen, like it feels like he's gonna have to make a big swing. And so
But how big will that swing be? How big will that swing be? Yes.
Yeah. Those are on the field. It's Marsh and Stott that I've been really keeping an eye on, and then off the field it's just waiting for him to do something. And we'll see.
And we're going to see it sooner rather than later for sure. All right, folks. Again, he is from thatballsoutofhere.com. Love the Phillies content over there. Michael Fisher, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here at the Philadelphia Sports Table Podcast Show. I'd love to have you on again at some point down the road, my friend. Come back and join us.
That sounds good. Thanks for having me, Jeff.